We are the Brady girls. We are the Brady girls. We know our manners. We spend time.
My name now is Constance Stanton. When I was born, my name on my birth certificate was Constance Mellows Malawski. I was born in 1931. I joined Brady when the war ended, and I was there until the very, very early 50s. My parents had not been refugees. My mother was born in this country. My father was born in Novgorod in the Ukraine, and he came here when he was months old with my grandparents and a younger brother. And his 6 siblings after that were all born here. I lived in Bishopsgate, next door to the police station, because my father worked in the shop on the ground floor. We lived there until a bomb dropped on the building next door, and we had to get out, and we went to live with my grandmother, who lived in the buildings in Shoreditch. But by that time I was evacuated, so I didn't spend a lot of time with my grandmother. It was great. I mean, quite different to what it's like now. I mean, I had a friend whose parents had a stall in Petticoat Lane where they sold what we call lokshen, what you might call spaghetti. It was all forms of pasta. And they lived in a flat in Petticoat Lane. And if you went there on a Monday, all the furniture was covered with white sheets, with all the dough drying out on it. And then later on, the father used to cut it up according to what it was going to be, and it used to be sold on the stall. When the war started, my friend was sent to relatives in Australia, and her parents stayed here. But when the war ended, they too went off to Australia, and I don't know what happened to them after that. I was 14 when the war ended, and before the war, I went to Jewish Free School. And then, of course, that got bombed, and I was evacuated for a time with Jewish Free School to Cornwall, to Mousehole, and I was only there for 5-6 months. It was a very nice summer holiday. And when I came back, my aunt and uncle lived in Oxford, in Headington, and they found this couple who were quite happy to take a little London evacuee in, and I stayed with them till virtually the war ended. And that was where I started secondary school. as a consequence, when the war ended, I went to Central Foundation Secondary School in Spitalfields Market. My parents said, now that there's no more air raids, we don't mind you going out in the evening. And there was a girl who was living with her grandparents in the building opposite to where my grandmother lived. And her parents and younger brother were all killed when the V2, I think it was, dropped on Hughes Mansions in Valence Road. And she was a member of Brady, and my mother asked her if she would take me to club, and she did. And I would love to know what happened to her, because I know she went to America to relatives there. Anyway, that was how I got my connection to Brady. I think it was to cement friendships that couldn't be done while the war was on and everybody was in shelters. We couldn't go out in the evenings, but when you went to club, you could. And also it was safe to walk in the street, so, you know, it was great, and we cemented a lot of friendships. So the leader at the club when I joined was Miriam Moses, and her assistant was Betty Benjamin. My impression of Miriam Moses when I first joined was that she was very stern and very upright, but when you got to know her, there was a softer, kindlier side to her. Initially, my time at the club started with the drama group, which was run by a Miss Berman, and I did various plays with them, and then the boys' club, which was round the corner, used to come to the club every, I think, Thursday night, about 9:30, and we used to dance there. And then the boys' club started a concert party, and they were looking for females. So I went and joined the Brady Club concert party, and that started a whole new era for me. Well, while I was at the club and I was in the concert party, I thought it might be a good idea for me to have singing lessons. So I went to Toynbee Hall and had singing lessons there. And one Christmas, they asked for people to be in their Christmas show, which I did. And after one of the shows, 2 gentlemen came to see me and said, "We're from the Unity Theatre." So I went home and told my mum and dad, and my dad said, "Yeah, do it." So I went and did it, and I was accepted into the cast, and I got the only 2 female solos in the show. and I was in it for at least 6 weeks, but I was going to work during the day, coming back to the theatre from work, doing the show, going home, going to bed, getting up in the morning, going to work, and after about 6 or 8 weeks I was exhausted. So I left the show, and my understudy took over, and she appeared in Tommy Steele's film Half a Sixpence. Some of the people who were in the show with me at Unity was Julian Glover, Will Stamp, George Tovey, and the three of them, amongst others, became very well known in the business, so to speak. So, yeah, so much so that there was one occasion where my husband and I were at the theatre in Drury Lane in the bar, and suddenly someone came over and said, "Hello, Connie," and it was Julian Glover, who recognised me, and I was very flattered to think that he'd remembered me after all that time. Yeah, we often went to Skeet. The concert party group went to Skeet, and we had great fun there. I remember there was one chap who was in the concert party who was very good at hypnotising people, and I remember very well he hypnotised one of the girls, and he got her, every time he said a certain word, she would ask for more porridge at breakfast. And of course it worked, and we all used to be convulsed with laughter. My best memories of being a Brady was, I suppose, meeting Princess Margaret, and also all the experience that I achieved doing the concert party shows, which gave me a very good grounding for all the activities that I did later on in life. I think being able to communicate with people you'd never met before, and just engaging naturally and meeting more people. I think it was very important, and I think it's a great shame that young people don't have youth clubs like what I had. I miss being in contact with some of the people that I knew. A lot of them are with us no longer, and I think it's a shame, because we could have such enjoyable time reminiscing between us.